Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here at True North Studios, and I am so excited to be joined on the desk by a very famous face. If you were watching the Valorant scene in the 2020-2021 era of Valorant, Simo was taken. Welcome to the show, making his True North Studios debut tonight, and it couldn't be off of a better game. We got some crossfire action tonight. Simo, how are we feeling tonight? I know you're usually a Valorant caster, but we're dipping into CS tonight. How are we feeling?
Listen, it's not my first rodeo with CS. I had the pleasure one time many moons ago to cast a show match at DreamHack between the Canadian military, who had Miss Harvey on their team, versus I think there was like some French Montreal team by the name of like Lucid Gaming or something like that. Anyways, it was just like a fun show match, and I casted it with my buddy who used to be a CS caster back in the day, not CS2, CS Go. So yeah, I know it's good to kind of get into a little bit of a different tack shooter. Like you said, we've got a good matchup today for some crossfire action, so it's going to be exciting to see. You've been following Storm Surge for pretty much the entirety of the season, so you probably have lots to say about their ups and their downs.
Yeah, like I think that's a good way to say it. Storm Surge, we did coverage for them during the last season of ESEA main play, and I think that's a good way to say, there were a lot of ups, but some downs as well. I think more downs than ups, and we're gonna meet this roster, a little bit of a retooled roster since the start of this main season. Coach Ramen gonna be subbing in for Doyle, but the rest of the roster fairly similar. Desolation, Kanzi Cubed, and Punisher. Desolation coming in as the IGL for the Storm Surge team. This is a team that definitely has potential to play at a very high level. They just need to find that consistency. And looking at the other side for this Reign Above team, I mean, you take a look at their face-up page, and it's just high-level face-up players across the board. I mean, these guys play at a very high level. This is an advanced team that has a lot of success. They've had success in previous seasons of Crossfires. Not off to a great start in the latest season of Advance, but that experience alone, I think, definitely makes them a very tough opponent, at least on paper tonight, going up against a team that's trying to make a name for themselves in the main division.
Yeah, like one of the things that I look out for when I'm looking for, a team that is on the come up. When I did my stint in Valorant, I was casting a lot of tier 2, even tier 3, and one of the things that's pretty consistent is a team that sticks together wins together, and I think a lot of teams give up. I mean, listen, if you've been playing with the same roster for 3 years and it's not working, yeah, maybe time is about the change, time to switch somebody out or put or sub somebody else in. But I think overall, a team needs to find success in working through the tough times together, and trying to figure out what are some of those gaps. And we'll probably see some of those things rear their head today on whatever that map selection ends up looking like. But I often find, especially in the North American scene, when it comes to tack shooters, people give up so easily in their roster lock-ins, right? They'll play, especially in Valorant back in the day, they would play like one season with a member and be like, no, it's not working, get out of here, and just kind of like keep this revolving door of players. And I think for CS, which has definitely more history, more a longer history, especially with some of these players who probably started in source, right? From really the roots of where CS came from. They have not only a lot of experience, but even probably playing with some of these players. They probably have played with these players for the past decade, either with or against in some way, shape, or form.
No, that's a really good point. I think when you take a look at Storm Surge, a team that has sort of retooled their roster a little bit mid-season. Initially, it looked like this change was paying off for them. I mean, obviously, we have Desolation still, staying as the IGL, and that's somebody we want to highlight right now as our Canadian player to highlight. And that segment is sponsored by Third Sight. Third Sight is a Counter-Strike community organization based in Ottawa, focused on bringing Canadian players together, hosting in-person watch parties to create original content, aimed to be sort of like this go-to platform for Canadian CS news and stories. So we're very happy they're partnered with us during this season of Maine and, the rest of our endeavors here at True North Studios. And they're looking to build new events and initiatives to help grow the scene across the country and are always looking for volunteers who want to get involved and support their mission to grow the scene in Canada. So thank you very much to Third Sight. And we already talked about who our spotlight player is. It is going to be Desolation. And being the IGL, I think he's going to have a lot of responsibilities tonight against a Reign Above team that, like we said, this is a team that's had success in previous Crossfire seasons, is in advanced as well. And at least on paper, they're bringing a lot of firepower to the server tonight.
Yeah, I think being an IGL is really a tall task in any game, and anywhere you need to put your mind to doing that IGL role. I think one of the biggest things for somebody like Desolation is, especially when it comes to having such a storied roster for, not storied, but a roster that is relatively stuck together for quite some time, is you really know the weaknesses and the strengths of the players that are on your roster. What are the callouts that are going to work? What are the callouts that are not going to work? How fast your team is going to be able to rotate. Like, these are all things that as an IGL you start to pick up on over the course of, a lot of time being spent together. But of course, like you said, Coach Raman coming in is going to shake things up a little bit. Not only the coach of the roster, but coming in as the main primary operator, if it does come to that, is something that really can kind of throw a wrench in some of that IGLing, but I think overall it should be relatively smooth sailing. But again, these are factors that we have to consider in terms of what the success might look like for Storm Surge tonight.
No, absolutely. And I think maybe moving off that opera position as well, maybe take some pressure off of Desolation, because previously, before Raman gets in as a main member of this roster, he has to be the opera and the IGL. So that is a lot of responsibility for a guy like Desolation. And sometimes we have seen him struggle in big games. There are a lot of series in Maine where he didn't really show up as much as he should have, and being that leader, you are sort of missing a big piece when you don't have everybody contributing like that. So I think this move to bring in Raman, obviously you miss out on Doyle. I think somebody who also has a lot of good chemistry with this team, but Raman, since he's been subbed in, we've seen a lot of good performances from Storm Surge, and we even saw some last week. They weren't able to get it done, but you're taking an advanced team to the brink, and you have a lead for a majority of Nuke. I mean, Storm Surge has proven that they're able to hang with the big boys. They just have trouble or problems staying consistent and finishing, it seems. That's the biggest thing. And I think maybe that's what a lot of these like younger sort of main teams need to fix, especially when you have teams with a lot of experience and advanced play coming in tonight. I think on paper, I think Reign Above would have the advantage simply for the fact that they have this cohesion, they have the experience as a unit.
Yeah, ultimately, especially in all of my experience with tax shooters, it's always the team that has the better cohesion that wins. It can really come out if there is a superstar player that is just leaps and bounds above the rest of the competition, can really solo carry in a lot of situations if you just have an insane rifler or opper that just is outstanding. And if you think about human bodies in this game as like a resource to use, if someone, a star rifler or a star opper, is taking out 2-3 people on average in a trade for their life, like that is an incredibly efficient conversion. But I would imagine something like Crossfire, where young star talent is going up against other young star talent that are kind of relatively neck and neck in terms of skill level, you probably don't tend to see that. Like, if someone's a superstar, they're probably trying to really make it to that tier 1, tier 2 NA team to really like prove their mettle kind of in bigger fish, in a bigger pond. So, it's something to obviously consider, but it's not something that I think happens too often in leagues like this. But maybe you would have more to say, especially as it pertains to Storm Surge, if someone's like a standout performer, right?
Yeah, well, another thing you want to consider is what map is going to be played in all these situations. And we have some maps we can talk about now. And obviously, like every time here at True North Studios, our maps are brought to you by Counter-Strat. And, well, this was fairly close to what I had predicted in my notes. I had Nuke, Mirage, and Inferno, but Anubis coming in as a wild card. I think this is interesting because both teams commonly choosing to ban Anubis. So I think Reign Above clearly have been working on this since the changes have been made in the last or one of the previous CS2 updates. And that could be interesting because Storm Surge, they haven't had as much experience on Anubis. So I think coming into Mirage first, obviously Storm Surge feeling confident, but a team with advanced history also has a lot of plays and set executes on Mirage. I might be a little worried for Storm Surge if they can't make it out of Mirage, heading into a map they might not be as familiar with.
Yeah, that's a good shout, and particularly considering most of the last season was on Ancient and Mirage. It's something that was kind of up and down. Looking back at some of those maps, those best of ones in the regular season, and I think you put it perfectly. If they can't win out Mirage, we're likely seeing a potential 2-0 victory. But Anubis could be that wild card. Maybe sometimes teams like to take something off the plate or something that obviously that they don't want to see, but it still doesn't mean it's not practiced. It's just maybe not comfortable. And maybe sometimes you need to rip off that Band-Aid and face that discomfort. And the fact that you've got the coach by your side, this could be the potential for you to start off the season feeling much better than maybe previous seasons, right?
Yeah, and just because I say that Reign Above might have the advantage on Mirage doesn't mean that Storm Surge doesn't play Mirage very well. We've seen them have very strong games in main, but we've also seen them struggle on maps like these. Sometimes when teams do get a little bit aggressive, they just can't really wrap their defense around that, or their defense will bend and then just shatter immediately. So I think it'll also depend on which side Storm Surge is going to be starting on this Mirage. And I think of one game specifically, I think this was the season finale of Maine where they started, I believe it was on the T side. They were down, I want to say it was 5-0 at one point. They rallied back, finished the half 6-6, and ended up winning the game 13-7. So clearly they have been working on their Mirage. They have the potential to come back. I just want them to get off to a really hot start on the side that gets chosen, but obviously they're going to be picking into what they want. We'll see how that ends up going. We're getting very close to game and talk about series predictions. I think my thoughts have been very clear once you sort of break these two teams down. I think I have Reign Above taking this in 2-0. But Simo, what are your thoughts once we sort of break down each of these lineups and now we have maps?
Well, listen, let's just be completely frank, and maybe being completely frank is not what I want to do on broadcast, but my knowledge of these two teams is, a little bit more on the limited side as opposed to the, extremely studious, extremely well versed in the Storm Surge and Reign Above doings. But, I'm just going to go against the grain just for fun. Ramen coming in as a coach, having a coach in your back pocket is like a cheat code, like, of course, he can't see the map. He can't. He can see the map, but he can't see the map that he would normally see as a coach. I think having him in the back pocket alongside the IGL is just going to generate good vibes, and good vibes always wins, right? It's undefeated. It can't be taken down, no matter what skill, no matter what map. I'm going to go with Storm Surge in 2-0 just for fun. Why not?
Yeah, that's a bold prediction, but it definitely isn't far out of the possibility. I think we definitely have a reality where this could be a 2-1 for Storm Surge or Reign Above potentially. It really just comes down to if Storm Surge win Mirage. I think if they lose it, I think this gets 2-0'd fairly easily going into Anubis. But a win, I think, makes this really interesting. And Storm Surge going into Nuke, that might be a little bit more comfortable because we've had some decent games from them on Nuke, or at least we've watched some decent games from them on Nuke. But it is worth knowing that that was a map that was chosen in the last series against Holly Molly, where they had a 9-3 lead at one point, but ended up losing 13-10. So that might be something to consider as well if you're looking at where, your prediction might lie. But again, that's even assuming we get to Nuke in the first place. Let's just take it one map at a time. I think we have 9 out of 10 players in servers right now. So we're just about to get to Mirage, and very, very excited to see some more Storm Surge on stream and, feature an advanced team, sort of moving up in the ranks a little bit here at True North Studios.
Yeah, well, while we're waiting for that final player to get into lobby, we can start to kind of tee up a little bit more about Mirage and kind of dive into kind of the little deeper focus points. I mean, you've had the luxury of watching Storm Surge pretty closely through their wins and losses on Mirage. If you've seen all of them kind of in excruciating detail, with Mirage, of course, being a little bit more counter-terrorist favored. Is there anything that you kind of highlight in terms of the play style that Storm Surge has on Mirage that could be deadly, or could make them fall short, in getting over aggressive or getting under aggressive and not having good defense? Like, what are some of those kind of quick bullet points for Storm Surge's play style on Mirage?
Well, I think it really comes down to how this mid is going to be controlled. Traditionally, we've seen Desolation be that mid player, traditionally with the op, but now that the op role has transitioned to Ramen, where do you slot in Desolation? Do we still have him on mid? Do we have him take the spot of Doyle, as sort of like this B player or underpass player? So I'm interested to see where they retool their roster, but I think with Mirage in general, when you look at the CTs, everything really comes by Mirage. I mean, this is a 3-lane map style, and traditionally a lot of teams will try and get aggressive, looking for a pick early in mid window. That's usually where you'll find your opera playing for for the CT. So if that's a weakness in this defense, you're going to have a player already eliminated early in the game, and that's just going to open up so much more map space for a T side, and that might snowball into something dangerous. Or they're going to have to be ready to take care of these potential mid offers to the side of Rain Above, because Storm Surge is elected to start on this east side. We'll see what they can do against Rain Above. It's Crossfire Season 4, Group G, Round 2. We're going to get things started. Desolation. Gonna get that smoke out towards jungle. Try and set out towards this A side. Not able to clear out the player in hell, and he is going to fall. So early man advantage for Rain Above. And that's going to stall out this progress from Storm Surges. Kanzi, or Cubed, I should say, going to be rotating back through T to try and meet up with his teammates.
Yeah, I honestly thought that was going to go a little bit faster. You saw they were trying to go through the window, but of course, Rain Above was there laying in wait, and they'll wrap back around towards apartments. We still have a little bit more greater positioning from the T's in towards this underpass, but they're kind of between a rock and a hard place, a little indecisive, not sure where to go. One CT, Cobalt, has got great visibility towards Palace.
Oh, wow.
And now spotted out. Things are going a little bit too tough as one gets traded out by Ramen. Still, CT's on A holding off, and that's going to open things up, but we still need that final player, Kanzi, to come on over as the bomb's being planted.
Yeah, I was really worried when Cercera was able to just find that one tap easily, but look at Storm Surge now. They're able to execute onto this A site fairly easily. Now Swayu and Dave in a bit of a tough spot as you're down a man, and Ramen's still going to be in this Windows position, and he's easily going to find Swayu and not able to swing onto Dave, who's good for the one tap. Rain Above still alive in this situation. That's going to be a smoke as well, so this defuse definitely not in a possibility.
Oh my God.
The smoke. Kanzi trying to go for the knife. I think he's found him, but not enough as Rain Above stick the defuse, the ninja defuse to open us in round number 1. Rain Above weather the storm.
I was ready to write that off so quickly. They had mid control. They kind of fumbled the bag a little bit and then regained that mid control, found some space, and found a pick and window. They had great sight lines. Ramen was in a good spot, and they just got overzealous, letting this ninja defuse go through. And that is rough as we quickly head into the next round. Again, looking towards that A site. They've got great control here as CTs are completely upside and have to re-enter. Smokes are down and the sight lines are gone. It's now the onus on Rain Above to re-enter site.
So much smoke utility being used by the Storm Surge team. Looking like Woodstock 99 on this A site, and Rain Above now still on the outside looking in, trying to find some entryway. Cercera trying to find anything on the stairs position. Does have 2 members in support. That's going to be 2 picks going the way of Rain Above, and they're going to execute and clear out this A side with ease. That's 5 picks with no issue. Rain Above, they bend but do not break, and they find the conversion.
Listen, I just have one important question. You mentioned Woodstock '99 like you were there. Were you there?
Well, I was not there.
Yep.
I was born in '99, but I assume that's what it would have looked like if I was there.
Fair enough.
But,
Fair enough.
Hey, if you know, you know. But clearly, Rain Above, they're clearly in the know of how to play this map because they've started off very, very strong. 2 retakes that have gone their way. Storm Surge, they've looked good executing onto the site. They just can't hold.
Yeah. I gotta say, I'm still impressed with Rain Above. They're pretty, like, to re-enter the site like that so confidently, willing to trade, willing to take those risks, and so willing to take some risks. Mac 10s in hand, ready to go guns blazing as they're gonna funnel into site. Ball on the other side. Him up 3 is what he's good for. One more in Palace rotating through. If I get bomb down, no sir. It's Dave once again putting a bullet in their back.
And Cobalt getting crazy in the jungle there, finding 3. And I mean, this is starting to look a little grim. I mean, it's still early, but you just tell that Rain Above's defense is very, very strong thus far. But I do have to give Storm Surge props, and I think you had mentioned this as well, is that despite, at least on paper, we're the doubts that might be there. It's a main team versus an advanced team. I think most people would think that would be pretty one note and pretty, predictable of a matchup. But these Storm Surge players, they're playing with no fear. They are not afraid to get up and dirty and, get down and dirty, be aggressive in these engagements, not afraid to ego swing if they need to. And I think that says a lot about who they are as a team and what their identity is. I think if they can just clean up some of these post plants, they might be able to steal a couple rounds away from Rain Above and maybe try and build up some more positive momentum.
Robin in a little bit of a good spot, trying to lead part of that charge on the entry. And again, mid-control, not too bad. CTs are hanging weight in window. This time still again. From Palace and Jungle, what a great crossfire. Cobalt with 2.
Oh, nice play.
Oh, here it is. Finally, Robin finds and puts one on the board, but still 2v3. 1 in Palace, 1 from Spawn, 1 from Jungle. Bomb still not down, just down. He's gonna have to spray. Good for 1. Can he get 2 more? 30 seconds left on the clock.
This is going to be a really tough plan for Cute, especially where these Rain Above players are. They're setting up a pinch right now. You're going to have the player in connector finish off the kill. When you have the op out this early, I mean, there's not really much you can do if you're the side of Storm Surge. Rain Above's opping, paying dividends. The op of doom and despair frying. And Storm Surge down early and already forced into a little bit of a half buy here.
Poor Storm Surge, man. They've got good confidence. Like we've highlighted, they've been putting something together. Whether it's an eco, full buy. But now I think they've noticed that Palace has been a pretty contested spot, at least being shot in the head by Dave as they walk past 2 ships in the night. Dave about to walk through the fire and the flame gives shots range. Only able to get 1. The first one he sees out of the smoke. The CTs are rushing over from the B site, and of course, bomb going down. Dave's still providing that firepower, and he's in such a good spot.
I think Storm Surge is a little lucky that Dave was only good for 1 of those picks, and they're going to be able to get the bomb down, but Rain Above, they are going fast and furious back onto this site, and they are going to take it once again. Another post-plant failure from Storm Surge. And Rain Above continuing to rain terror into this first half of Mirage. Just nothing getting going from Storm Surge. But I will say, I highlighted this in the pre-show, they've been in a situation like this before where they've been down on Mirage early and were able to find a way back into it. We'll see if maybe they can get something going. Coach Ramen, he's been the best performer thus far, and we've had some nice picks coming through, and that is going to force the timeout as well. And very similar to that match, this comeback also came on the back of a timeout once they went down 5-0. So maybe history will repeat itself.
Listen, I don't want to spread negativity. It's not the year for that. But if we didn't let that Ninja Diffuse go through, we might not be 5-0 right now.
I
Who
mean,
knows where we could be,
yeah.
right? The economy wouldn't be nearly as strong or nearly as survived by Storm Surge and or sorry, by Rain Above, and they got really a great head start with that first defuse, especially on such a CT sided map. Like, the T's need everything that they can get, and they had such a good start. That first opening round really set them up well, and it just didn't pan out with just such a overly zealous allowance of that defuse. Now another round, smokes around, no mid control this time around, and looking to walk straight through ramp. But on the other side is Dave again. This guy is the A site anchor. He's not letting anybody through, whether it's Palace, whether it's ramp.
Oh, but look at this. Storm Surge able to clear out both Dave and Cercera. So the first wave for Rain Above going to fall, but Cobalt, you know what he's been able to do in this jungle position. He gets Kanzi, but the bomb plant goes down once again. The plan thus far for Storm Surge has just been spam A every single time. Surely it has to work eventually. And maybe it does now. Cobalt in the 1v3. He's going to have to wait for the smoke to dissipate, and still a lot of util on the side of Storm Surge, and that is going to be their first on the board as Cobalt can be forced into the save here. Got to make sure you save the op for later rounds. A really good execute from Storm Surge finally pays off, and they get on the board.
Yeah, it's so interesting how that TAC timeout led to such a round, but I think, really just being so overwhelmed on the A side, and I think for once, Dave kind of choosing not to go Palace. I know that's such a weird call out, but he spent so much time just waiting in Palace. Previous round of the eco. But Palace, what that allows Dave to do is to provide this great crossfire as they funnel into the site. But him being there on ramp is really just a 50-50 chance that either the CTs or the Ts win once that smoke dissipates, right? So having somebody a little bit more spread out, let the Ts have their A site, and then just fight for control, fight for the retake as you've done so well for Rain Above. So I think that round was just kind of a little bit of a 50-50 chance that they kind of chose the CTs to approach a little bit of a different defense, and Storm Surge was just like, hey, let's just go with Blitzkrieg. Let's just stack 5 and rush A, and it worked well.
Well, the other thing you should point out, too, is that it was Dave and Cercera both defending on this really tight angle, and Storm Surge were able to find both of them. I think if one of them is still up, if you lose ramp, like you said, if you have Dave set up in Palace, you should be able to find at least one or two of these Ts to maybe slow down this execute, but losing 2 just completely opens the floodgates for Storm Surge, and I think if you're Rain Above, you need to be a little bit smarter than that in rounds going forward to make sure that doesn't happen, because guys like Desolation can definitely make an impact. If you're not careful, Louis, he's going to be forced out of this position by that Molly, and Ramen going to capitalize. So Storm Surge once again at a man advantage, but this off from Cobalt still making an impact. Going to miss a shot there.
No!
Still a man advantage for Storm Surge. Swayu in the 1v3, and another A execute should be going the way of Storm Surge.
Very well done. All of the insurance policies for Rain Above did their job that round. Cobalt finds a pick on the entry into site. Dave was still in Palace, but again, kind of with Storm Surge taking a little bit of what I'm going to call a piecemeal approach, kind of taking it one fight at a time. And I don't know if it was planned on their end, but it just so happened so well executed in terms of one fight, Desolation finding one pick. Then I forget who, but another fight happening on Catwalk, right? It kind of happened in one punch after another, and it happened so quick that I think the CTs really had a tough time to react. Overall, you still saw Cobalt and Dave, who are the main anchors on the A site, really try to dissuade the push from happening. But again, when you're taking these individually isolated fights, I think it really worked out well for Storm Surge that round. So again, Rain Above, they've got a good overall strategy. 1 lurking mid, 2 on anchoring on the A site, your 2 kind of distant Swayu and Louis kind of anchoring down the B site, even though Storm Surge not really one to go there, but this could be the first round that we see something like it. And you're actually seeing Rain Above also stack a little bit more towards that side.
Storm Surge Also taking a big chunk out of the eco from right above that's been built up, but look at this now. This eco, they're still going to be putting in some firepower as these deagles coming in handy for rain above, and we see Rama now, our first taste of the op on Storm Surge's side. Gonna pay off as Rama's good for one, and Punisher's grenade will finish off Swayu, so all up to Dave. Another 1v3 for rain above will not happen. Storm Surge, the timeout clearly paying dividends. That's 3 in a row for them now. Finally building up that momentum they desperately needed at the start of this map.
Yeah, pistols galore for rain above really just kind of shows us what kind of strats that they are looking to run on the eco. Just try to really catch the T's off guard, and it almost worked. Like, they picked up an AK. That could have really been costly, especially since the team was split. Actually, no, I think most of them were already funneled into apartments, but you see they mollied it off and didn't really look back, and now you can see back to the default 5-man spread. And once again, Storm Surge looking for underpass, trying to get a little bit of mid control in a little bit of an, uncommon way. Ramen playing towards mid, and once again, underpass. Not really the way that I think is going to work for Storm Surge. They got to really play the A site. That seems to be their strength. 2 down by Surcera is massive already with 1:15 left on the clock.
And that was a big flash coming in too. If that doesn't come through, I don't think Surcera is able to clear it out. And I'm not sure how Rama missed that shot. I mean, that seemed like it was a fairly easy one to hit, but we move, as the kids say these days.
God.
And Storm Surge are moving into apartments. You have Swayu as sort of this first line of defense behind Van. This Molly going out to try and clear him out. Grenade in response, and Ramen.
What are you doing?
Op in hand. He's not afraid to get up and blow some personal.
It's not a shotgun. What are you doing?
But somehow, he makes it through the smoke. Swayu goes unchecked, but Ramen pays off. Behind the half wall, he's going to find a shot, and in response, the counter offer from Rain Above, finding some picks, and now Rain Above in another retake position, 3v2, crashing market. Cobalt also trying to get up close and personal with this off, maybe trying to use it like a shotgun, like we were saying. Cubed cleared out behind the half wall, and Punisher falls as well. Rain Above stop the bleeding for now and get their 6th on the board.
Man, Rain Above, so clean on these retakes. They're calm, they're collected, smokes are down, Storm Surge are waiting for them to bite, but Rain Above super comfortable on clearing 50s together. Bro, they're having Cobalt clear a 50 with an op. Like, that's crazy. Like, what are you doing? Like, who does that? Well, they're so confident.
How does that shot get missed?
Yeah, I know. Ramen, guy. Primary opera. Let's go. Let's pick it up. We need to pick it up if we're going to have a good half. 6-3 already. Not too bad. But yet another time. Looking at the round here. Again, poking and prodding towards B. Don't know if this is going to be the final commit. Ramen again looking towards that mid. Kind of poking around. Making sure that no CTs are flanking about. Palace checked. Nobody there. Nobody home. Dave kind of probably waiting up in hell, possibly, from the looks of it. But still, current early feelers here for Storm Surge.
A lot of util getting expended on this mid-site. Ramen, another missed shot from this offer, but I think actually that did land, but not enough to kill, as Surcera, mortally wounded, will retreat into the window position, and Ramen not good for the follow-up, does eventually get it, but will fall in response to all the noise being made. His position was known. Flash out for Louis, not able to clear out Cubed, as now Storm Surge able to take some more space, as Cubed left in this 1v3. Doesn't have the bomb either. Is going to fall, but will find a pick from beyond the grave. So it's something, I guess, to take home, but Rain Above seems like they found their footing once again.
What we missed was taking on 2 members of Storm Surge in apartments. I don't know if he sprays through the smokes and gets 2, but that really turns that round completely on its head, right? If even one of those members makes it through apartments, they can get bombed down and they can play for retake or at least play for some control. But, you know, everybody's in control here for Rain Above. Eco round.
Wow.
It's here for Storm Surge. You can see nobody's making it onto site. Punisher able to find two. Bomb down. How long will this last?
Well, not very long. And that's your answer to that as Cobalt finds the wall bang headshot. Last round before that half switch, and Rain Above, they gave up a little bit of, a little bit of give in their lead, but were able to find their way back. And look at Dave here. I mean, this is just clinical spray transfer. Going to be good for 3 and almost finds the 4th after hot swapping to the pistol, but his teammates are going to support it. And Rain Above, like you said, found their footing, and Storm Surge, it's a little bit uncomfortable. And
ouch. You
have guys like Cobalt that seem to be hitting almost everything with the op. It's going to be tough to get back into this game. Need a big play. Somebody from Storm Surge to step up and make a big play here in round number 12.
Well, Storm Surge are falling like flies. Down to Punisher and Consi. Both separated, one in mid, one all the way back towards TV. And the plan seems to be to possibly go to B. As we're having this replay of a nice clean shot from Cobalt and Storm Surge. One player on the B side, that's of course Sorcera, who's constantly playing B short and looking for that mid. He's also a floater. He'll float over. Cobalt finds that pick, one more left. And that's the half. 9-3, Rain Above. Tactical timeout seemed to have worked for 3 rounds, but not super effective as we swap over. Storm Surge on CT and Rain Above now on the T side.
Really well executed if you're talking about Rain Above's defense there. You mentioned Sorcera hanging out on a short there, kind of close to that catwalk position. You have Cobalt as well. We saw him in this window spot, able to rotate back into market, and that's such a tough position to try and retake if you're the T's coming through apartments, because if your opper either misses the shot or falls, you have the guy in connector who's able to then rotate in and try and contest through windows with utility. And it doesn't even matter, as Sorcera and Cobalt were good to find 2 picks, but this defense from Rain Above has been so stout despite those 3 that they gave up. Now we get a chance to see what their offense looks like as we get 3 members heading through this catwalk, trying to flood it, and they will, as Desolation, that first line of defense, is going to fall. Punisher going down as well. B-site completely wide open for Rain Above. They should be able to get this plant down, no problem.
Yeah, a very different approach than what we saw, obviously, from Storm Surge. We saw probably for the first time ever the T's this map use B short as the main focus point to transition over. Got a 2v2 left. Hold that thought. A Swayu in the back. Nice and clean behind the bench. Finds 2 picks, defends that defuse 3-10. But as I was saying, really fast execute here from Rain Above, and I think it's something to look out for. I know it was just pistol round, but they're moving fast and they're not waiting for information. They're not waiting for Storm Surge to give them intel. They're just willing to play those trades on their own.
I think that's that advanced team experience coming out. They know that they have the advantage right now. They know that they can just use unrelenting pressure to force Storm Surge into an uncomfortable position, and we saw that. You flood catwalk, you isolate the defender and connector, get onto the site as quick as you can, and we sort of saw a similar strategy coming through from Storm Surge, but Rain Above able to break through that defense once the post plant is activated. But Rain Above, it seems like it's been a little bit stouter. This defense has been a little bit tighter. They're looking to march closer to this map 1 win on Mirage. They're already off to a good start. There's only 2 members left for Storm Surge left alive. A 5-7, an auto. A little bit of a dream left if you're Storm Surge, and turns into a nightmare as Rain Above finds 11. It's been all Rain Above after those 3 in a row from Storm Surge, and I don't think they're looking back from here.
Yeah, it's been nothing but up for now. Of course, Storm Surge not really going to have the weaponry, but they weren't even really able to even make a dent, right? They were just kind of caught off completely. 5 stack from Rain Above, slowly inching towards that A side. And again, they're just fresh on the strats, rotating towards the opposite side. Fast rotation through catwalk into B short. We'll see if it's He's trying to stop them from pushing forward, and it's a 1-for-1. Circera now left on his lonesome. But he's going to hold fast here as we got players in apartments. He's going to rotate off once they're able to make it through. On the opposite. Can he transfer over? No, sir. As it's just down to Ramen. He's still anchored on the site. Crossed over, and he's as good as gone.
I think that was a really good chance for Storm Surge. Desolation falling, yes, it's unfortunate, but that gives intel to the team where this push is going to come from. You saw that attention switches over to apartments. It's just, when you have guys on Reign Above that just consistently make shots and big-time plays, there's only so much you can do in this defense before it just breaks completely. And Desolation, just not good for the hot swap. Circera, he's had a solid game thus far, and Punisher, I think he slipped actually on the box as he was hopping up, so I think that might have messed up the spray a little bit. Obviously, these could be excuses, but Reign Above, I mean, looked very, very strong. Storm Surge, one last chance. I mean, you basically have to go flawless until the end here, and after you don't find any in Reign Above's conversion, you're forced into a bye in the last round, you don't convert, and now you're basically ecoing on match point. There's only so much you can do, but Ramen is at least proving he's a little bit of a scout enjoyer, but it's only fleeting as Reign Above dominate on Storm Surge's map pick of Mirage, and I think this prediction of a 2-0 from Reign Above might be coming true because they looked incredibly stellar on Mirage.
Yeah, it was really, really impressive. You know, I think what we saw from Storm Surge, especially in that first half, like, to be quite honest, thinking back, I don't think that Ninja Diffuse would have changed much. It just would have stalled maybe another round or two. But even just giving Storm Surge that footing gives them so much more to work with. So I think that it was just tough to see a team like Storm Surge lose on something so small and so, you know, I wouldn't say in the big picture it was going to be that meaningful. Now looking back, seeing how Reign Above were so decisive, so concise. We saw on that T side, just everybody knew their role. And it was always either the team together or split up into two groups. If they're going to hit the B site, apartments, mid control, B short. If they're going to hit A site, again, catwalk and ramp, maybe not even anybody palace. Like, they're so confident in trading each other out. And I think that's what you highlighted. You've got players that can play all well together, frag well together, and they play to that strength by taking control together. And that's probably what's going to happen on Anubis, but it's a little bit more chaotic. There's way more to deal with and way more to look out for with the amount of entry points that we have to the A and B site. So I think, to be honest, Storm Surge have their work cut out for them.
No, absolutely, you're right. I mean, this is a map of Anubis that has recently undergone some changes as well, and I don't think Storm Surge has, well, at least in main play, we haven't seen them bring out Anubis into the map pool, but hopefully they have something planned because their back is already against the wall in this series against Reign Above. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, map number 2 of Anubis is on deck. We hope to see you then. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Map number 2 was promised, and we are delivering. It's Anubis, Rain Above, dominating on Mirage. Storm Surge, one last chance to try and make it back in. They have their work cut out for them because from what we saw from Rain Above's first map, they definitely look very, very strong, and this is their map pick, so I definitely would expect them to try and press this issue as we head into this next game.
Rain Above starting towards boat, wrapping in towards main to hit that A site. We've got Desolation with the dualies. Oh, baby. Show it to me. Give me the magic.
The trigger discipline. Oh, my God.
No.
Oh,
no,
my God.
Not like this.
Okay. Things you hate to see if you're a fan of Storm Surge, because that was just a colossal whiff from Desolation on backside, and now Rain Above. I mean, you have full men up, full health as well, and this is going to be an impossible retake for Storm Surge. And I don't even think you tried at this point. I think you just try and maybe get some exits, but I don't think Rain Above are going to give you that right now. And something to keep in mind is that if you're the CTs and you're not able to find any picks in the opening pistol round, that really is going to put a dent into your next round's economy. I know it is going to be an eco the next time, but you get, this extra money that you would get for a pick on the CT side isn't going to come through, so you don't even get a chance for your econ to start building as well, minus the loss bonus. So already, Rain Above getting off to a good start, and they're fully going to force into this.
Again, the pistol's not really a huge indicator, but 5-stack. Boat, main, site, done, right? Yeah. No one's looking for middle. No one's playing off the opposite side. We're looking right now at their current operation. They've got mollies towards double doors to avoid a mid-rush. But let's be honest, Storm Surge are not looking for a mid-rush. We've got a pretty big split, and once again, this fight for main. Desolation going to play off the contact with an AK and MAC-10. It's good for 2! Storm Surge make a dead, pick up the AK and make it out of dodge. What a big play for them.
Yeah, huge play from Punisher there, just spraying it down with the MP9, and the gamble definitely paying off as Desolation able to upgrade to the AK. Swayo and Cobalt will fall there, but this rotation going to come through under bridge. Is this boost going to try and get set up as Dave now in this position near double doors, and I don't think Storm Surge has any inkling of where these final players are, so depending on where Dave rotates. Ooh, and I looked like Ramen. If he had gone the other way, he might be able to clear out this backstab, but oh, and that audio cue is going to give it away as well. The call will come through, and Dave, not good for the swing, but Louis will pick it up, and now Rain Above have all the space they need to plant. 2v3 now. Storm Surge with a chance to retake.
Good smoke off main. They're still going to push through. Now, of course, Louis backside, reloading the clip. That's important. Sorcera going to play contact off of that main push, but there's only one there. It's Punisher, and he's low HP. Still, Louis ends up getting taken out, so Sorcera's got contact. Now, looking towards who's wrapping back behind him, and Storm Surge put one back. Great control, great retake, and that round really went much better than expected, and much better than the overall outcome started right here.
That's exactly what you need with your Storm Surge, and the fact that Rain Above full bought into that, being confident after a round 1 pistol win, is going to set them back right here. Storm Surge now with a chance to take advantage of the upgraded utility as they bring full rifles and utility belts to the table, and Rain Above relegated to upgraded pistols for the most part. So a gamble that doesn't pay off for Rain Above. This might lead to Storm Surge's first lead of this series. We'll see if Rain Above can do anything with this gun diff, you could say.
This time around, we're looking at that mid contact in towards gate. Of course, like you highlighted, less than desirable utility, and they're already being chunked out by the nades. Louis and Sorcera were playing towards Ivy and gate, and now have been taken out. So now it's just that mid play, and of course, that distant player who's already set up in towards main. Just buying time at the moment. Sueyu knows that it's clear, and maybe they might try to wrap around through a connector. But again, they've had so much trouble making it through the middle this round as those nades and that contact, especially from Kanzi. I think he was supported by some other player earlier in the round, but now it's clear, but he still has that look into connector.
It's going to be tough because Kanzi, he's going to see all this, and yes, he misses the shot, but he's going to be able to rotate in, and now the flood comes through. Desolation on an island up in heaven. They're going to try and get this plant down. Desolation, good to find one. Sprays transfers onto the second. Has to swap to the third. Kanzi, the hero, to bring the reinforcements in. Storm Surge. They win with gun diff. They find their first lead of this series. I don't want to say stop the count now, but Storm Surge has definitely looked a lot stronger coming in. Yes, you have a big advantage in this third round, but at least from what we've seen in terms of their defense, it's looked a lot cleaner. They've been able to rotate and transfer intel between members a lot cleaner thus far. Hopefully they can keep it up.
Well, a little bit more to buy now, and you can see a little bit more spread out as well. Still leaning A and trying to play off that contact first early utility, and they like definitely more boosts this time around, using more to their advantage, trying to get visual over the smoke, and it works! Ramen gets taken out trying to control the bridge. Kanzi playing contact towards mid, finds one, but he's being overwhelmed.
He's going to retreat, but intel gained for Storm Surge, and Cube will find one through the smoke, so they're going to keep pressing this man advantage, but despite that rain above, they are still trying to press this issue. A has been the main hit thus far, and it's been working. They have control of the site. Smoke going to delay this retake from Storm Surge up to Cubed and Punisher to try and solve it, but rain above, they're going to be able to set up, and they have some flashes as well to make this retake just a little bit tougher as Punisher trying to creep his way into heaven. Nestle himself into a corner behind this pillar. Still doesn't see much. It's a little bit of a peek at Louis, but it does not matter. Rain above. The defense stays pat. And we find ourselves tied once again.
Yeah. Once again, you know, we're seeing the real strength of Rain Above and their ability to be super, you know, it's almost like a slow bleed out when you're seeing these methodical rounds from Rain Above, when they're just taking 1 inch at a time. And it really proves to be a challenge for Storm Surge, which we've seen pretty cool. You know, one of the things I see the most is shots, right? Whiffed op-bots, whiffed early contacts, and found it some.
Oh my
For
god.
Storm Surge, and it's just an absolute bloodbath. And another round, of course, for Rain Above.
Well, I think Bloodbath is right, because it all just happened min. I think maybe the call for Storm Surge, I think if anything for Storm Surge, you know you have the one hero rifle in the hands of Ramen, you know, it's like, okay, maybe let's just try and bull rush down mid, maybe try and catch them off guard, but it just doesn't go that way at all. And Rain Above, they're able to capitalize because they just took it to them. Cercera continuing to play strong for this Rain Above team, but Ramen with the op. He's going to get a take.
Again.
Going to get a look at Swayu's knee, but not able to capitalize. And now this offer is known for Rain Above, and Cobalt, the counter op, are going to find another pick, and that second one falls, and this B execute should be able to fall through for Rain Above, catching Storm Surge off guard, and all this utility, it's going to be very hard for them to retake into this site.
Again, it's missed shots. It's holding a smoke when you're being turned on. It's really slight little misplays that are adding up so much for Storm Surge. Like, imagine if Ramen had, you know, the op or who's there was Cube the Punisher who was on the B site. Imagine if he had, you know, his gun in hand instead of a smoke grenade. like he might be able to trade one out, and then it's a different story. But they're not really getting even these opportunities to do so, and it's just proving to be just a much easier game for Rain Above in the big picture when these small little missteps add up over time. Round after round, round after round, you miss that shot, or you get a spray and you don't quite kill the person. And yeah, sometimes it's good overall, but I've just seen so many of these little missteps that are adding up, for a potential loss, for a potential 2-0 sweep.
Well, Rain Above, they've definitely found the momentum again. I mean, if you're Storm Surge, now is the time, because if Rain Above are able to build up this momentum again, it's going to be very, very tough. And what also is tough is that in this last round, you sort of buy into it a little bit. The Econ hasn't really been able to pop off yet. So losing that and being forced into the save, yes, you're able to keep the op and you're able to keep a rifle, but you're still conceding a round. And I mean, yeah, it's nice to save, but if you're consistently giving up rounds to a team like Rain Above, who are going to be able to press the issue and are going to be able to build up their own economy, you're just digging yourself into a deeper hole as we get further into this game. And we haven't even seen Rain Above's CT side yet, which, again, I assume is fairly stout if this is what map they're picking into, but it's not all dire for Storm Surge yet. They still have an opportunity to make some noise. Hero rifle and hero op in hand. If you can find a couple picks right off rip and upgrade, you might be able to make this one interesting, but this defense, you need to be able to find this first pick.
Kanzi. The timing is very unfortunate there. Massively unfortunate. Yeah. And you know what's even worse? Sarah hears him run away! Bro, the intel is crazy, and he gets free backstab. He's just going to try to milk it. That's the hero up and play.
Don't do it to him.
No.
Oh, no.
It's huge. It's huge!
What?
Trades him back, Ramen! This is insane. Can he get more? No. But that's crazy.
Oh, my God. The fact that Ramen is able to turn on a dime like that and find the note, what I assume was a no-scope there. I mean, what an absolutely... I think the best word to use is silly, I think, in that situation, because I really hope we can get a replay of that whole situation, because there are so many things to break down, and I mean, I still have to wrestle with the fact that in the chaos of all of that, Rain Above were able to get the bomb down, and now Cube left in this 1v2, and he's going to have to save again, so Rain Above, they find their fifth.
Oh, he's going to try to meet him. He's got the pistol, he finds one, getting a second. No. But still, man, crazy, bro. I can't believe that happened. And I have to respect Sarah for being so sneaky. Like, he could have just gotten the kill, like he could have secured.
But, oh my God. How? And he misses the first couple shots too. I think that's the crazy thing about that, is he doesn't even, if he hits that first shot cleanly, I think you're able to get the transfer onto Rama without him really knowing. But the fact that he misses those first couple bullets, Ramen has those split seconds to know that there's somebody standing right next to him with a gun barrel, and is just able to flick like that. I mean, just an absolutely insane sequence in this series. But we'll get back to reality now. Both teams trading picks. Rain Above on the move once again, trying to create space in mid. Swayu trying to make his way up A main, using that molly to stave off these Storm Surge defenders, but Ramen and Kanzi are staying firm. Ramen has got the open hands again. See if he can make use of it once again, and he does, finding Cobalt. Kanzi good for another one. Storm Surge starting to heat up a little bit. Coach putting in the work now, but will eventually fall. Rain Above. They lose some members, but they don't want to lose this round.
Swayu. And he's going to run. Molly's there. He's got another one. He can play for the post plant. The onus is on you, Punisher, but he still repositions. Big brain Swayu. 2-6, Rain Above. Once again, these rounds are getting close, but still... Rain Above punching above their weight.
Like you said, 1 million IQ play. Swayu, and it's awkward timing, right? I think if you're Punisher there, like, I don't know why you're swinging a corner while you're holding a smoke, right? Or like, I guess in that case it was an HE grenade, not a smoke, but still, that's definitely bold if you know there's a T in the general vicinity. But I guess he was able to sneak out of it for a little bit, but Rain Above, regardless, they found their feet once again and forced Storm Surge into a timeout. And I think if they can't find anything here, it's going to get dire fairly quick. Desolation completely bottomed out in terms of cash. Ramen, Kanzi, and Punisher also looking pretty broke right now. Cubed can't even fully buy in. He's relegated to the MP9, but full util, I guess. But if you're Storm Surge, definitely not as much as you're hoping for. And Rain Above, they're already getting aggressive, heading towards A main. Desolation, he's got to be ready because you have some T's coming your way.
Yeah. And, you know, I haven't really seen a lot of great control for main here for Surge. They get pretty constantly overwhelmed on the A site. We haven't seen too much of that B site control. And I'm kind of just doing some, like, lax commentary over this round because it's pretty much already over 2v5. And the CT's completely overwhelmed on the A site. And even rounds where Rain Above takes it methodically slow, they kind of inch their way through double doors. Maybe they play through connector. It's always main control. And the previous round, we actually saw Ramen get the jump, you know, off a swing, off of, like, Rain Above trying to take out some utility, and he caught somebody with a nade in their hand. But still, overall, the A side has been almost 100% taken by Rain Above round after round. That's got to call... At least, like, you know, if you're running a timeout, that's got to call, like, run it back to round 2 where you play 2 contact off main. Like, have some pressure towards middle so they're not just, like, running a Sorcera and getting behind you up in Fountain. Like you can see that this is happening. You can see that they are playing aggro towards connector, or sorry, towards main. And yes, I know the odd time that they do go B, like this round, it's still been main all day, and you can see they're gonna have a lurker towards main. Maybe not, but nevertheless.
Just think if you're Storm Surge, you needed to make those adjustments, and I was hoping that the timeout was gonna lead to it, but maybe they find something as Punisher's good for the triple to stall out this play on B. That's bomb going down cold as well. Just when you think Storm Surge are out of it, they find a big swing, but don't count Rain Above out just yet, as Swayu able to find Desolation on this lurk, and this doesn't get cleared out if... Okay, well, I was going to say, if Swayu was good for that pick on Ramen, this definitely gets a little bit more interesting, but Sorcera in the 1v3, no bomb in hand. He's going to have to make a big-time play to salvage this round, because at least at the outset, it looks like Storm Surge will get back on the board, but Punisher's head just being a little bit too much exposed. Sorcera still trying to fight and find his way in. If he plays the smoke correctly, he might be able to make a play for bomb, but I don't think he'll be able to anymore. He's got no util anymore. The smoke's down. So it's all going to come down to gun skill right now, and the way Storm Surge is set up, there's no way you can possibly swing on both.
Wow. Through the fire and the flames. Sacrificial lamb. But he knew where both were. And that's just crazy. Like, you could really see the game sense and the knowledge of this team and how well they play. Of course, this is where Cube, like, has to die, right? He doesn't. And the comms probably from Rain Above is, I've got right, you've got left, but right never dies, right? Cube survives, and he's able to play off of that. So, again, it's one of those situations like Sorcera where, you know, he has to spray transfer, but it doesn't quite work out in the big picture. But anyways, it's another round. And again, main control completely gone for Rain Above, and they are ready and laying away. A quick little trade, I think, towards that side. And once again, we're looking for that mid control. Probably going to rotate and wrap towards A. We've got Kanzi playing towards connector. We'll see if he stays here for long. Ramen going to be playing off that main contact. And we're at a standstill.
Standstill is the name of the game right now, and the one I'm looking at to maybe make an impact, besides Kanzi, I was going to say was Louis, but Punisher, he started to wake up for Storm Surge. A little bit of a quiet map one, but some big hero plays coming through, and Surcera once again left in this 1v2. Ramana cubed, and just like last time, Bomb has gone down cold, but more space created for Surcera. Should be able to get back, but Cubed will meet him before he gets a chance to get the bomb again. Storm Surge, their best look since early on. They find 2 in a row last round before the half. They can find themselves down 7-5, and like you said, you like this play. Break it down. What did you see that you liked?
It was just contact. Palace, A connector. We had Punisher and Cubed playing off one another, and that's what I want to see more out of Storm Surge. We're seeing these, like, you know, missteps where there's no follow-through. Ramen trying to get a solo pick, and, like, you can even see here Desolation's alone, and the team coming through. They've got, of course, the Molly down on the ground, but I would like to see Storm Surge playing more together to stop these crazy. You can see just that. Quick transfer for one. In a 2v3, the teams are coming up empty-handed. A quick trade, Sway you. Now a 2v2.
I think we definitely are seeing Storm Surge play a bit more cohesively. This grenade could be big, and it is big, as Ramen, the grenade, the assist, coming through Storm Surge and the half with 3 in a row. 7-5 your score, right above this lead. You still have it, but with the way Storm Surge have sort of rallied, they definitely got to clean up some things, and they're switching to this defense now. And this pistol, all of a sudden, very, very important if you're right above, if you want to try and keep this lead.
I will say, obviously, it may sound like we're giving Rain Above. Well, it may sound like I'm giving Rain Above a lot of credit, but the past 2 rounds, a 5-stack in through a tight choke point, that's not it, guys. You know, we're not in bronze or whatever the elo system is in CS2. Like, I know that might work in some big picture if you're willing to overwhelm and you think that you've got the raw gun skill to just go through a smoke blind and play off the 50s. Like, it's not going to work big picture. So 2 times, maybe once, shame on me, or twice, shame on you. And again, like, you think that it's going to work, and, you know, the T's running that same mistake. A quick knife. But listen, guys, 5-stack through the site, I don't think it's going to work.
I kind of called it out, but Surcera was going untouched coming down from top mid, and he had some big picks in this one. I mean, this was just a pinch play simply from Rain Above, and the pressure that Surcera puts on the back end forces Storm Surge forward towards gate, and that just leads them right into the gunfire of the rest of the CTs, and that is a fairly easy pistol round for Rain Above. And now they're looking to convert and reestablish this 4-round lead on their own map pick, but see if Desolation can get on a little bit of a lurk as well. He's not going to find much right now, as Storm Surge really haven't made too much progress on the map. As you can see, Rain Above, they were playing very, very far up, not letting Storm Surge take a whole lot of space, but that is some space created now as Cubed finds a pick and trades continue to come through, and now it's full systems go for Storm Surge as they're looking to try and salvage it, but I think Desolation is the only one left. He will fall. Rain Above, good defense thus far, but now Storm Surge get a chance with some real rifles.
Bro, like, Rain Above is playing exactly how I wish Storm Surge was playing last round. One player dies, everyone, like, for Storm Surge to get through middle, to get to A site, they just constantly faced a new opponent, like every 10 seconds. There was somebody laying in wait, connector, middle, double doors. They never got an inch, and look how much more mid-control Rain Above are fighting for this round. They play early contact towards bridge, and then they back away. I don't think I ever saw Storm Surge even look at the double doors last half. So I'm seeing a more proactive CT side. A little bit off the retake for the B site, and that's going to cost them, as now it's going to cost them. What is happening? They're fighting through E-box and they're winning. This is crazy.
I think just Rain Above right now are just simply playing like the better team. And like you said, just such a proactive CT side. And I think with Anubis, a map that, is so large, if you have a CT side that is able to just full rush completely and just cut off these lanes of attack for the T's, there's just not much you can do right now. I mean, look at this. Rain Above, they're just full sending it down near mid and the B site, and already you cut off so many lanes for the T's to go through, and they're going to be rewarded with an opening pick, and that's going to really slow things down for Storm Surge as you lose one man. As Rain Above going to rotate in, smokes go down, Molly's out as well. So Storm Surge will recover the bomb, but now you give Rain Above a chance to reset their defense.
Yeah, once again, like you had, I forget who it was, Swayus or Sarah. Like who walks up top mid like that? Like that is just confidence. As we see just members of Storm Surge falling across the map, down to 2 cubed, and Kanzi maybe making their way towards the B site. But what do you have? You have you don't really have a lot to work with. You've got some util, something in the bank, but 3 players stacked, 2 in the E-box. They're feeling good. Spot the first, cube the second. 11-5. We're getting that much closer to match point.
Somebody from the T's taking a little dip in the pool there, trying to relax, because this has been, quite frankly, a very stressful game for these Storm Surge players. Rain Above just taking it to them right now. And I think you're right. Like, it's confidence right now for Rain Above, and they're playing like the better team because that's what they know they are in this situation. They're just leaning on that experience and that time together to carry them to this win. And it's just skill diff right now in Punisher. I mean, you're just full blind, full sending it through gate. I mean, it's just a slaughterhouse outside the gate, and on a round that you should, maybe try and fight a little bit harder, you basically throw away, and now Rain Above are on match point.
One at a time. Like, guys, one at a time. One at a time.
Yeah.
Let's be real. We could at least do 2 at a time. At least we have.
Maybe throw some util in there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like, get rid of that molly that's on the ground bothering your feet. You guys don't notice that your shoes are hot? That your socks are hot, bro? It's time to take that molly on the ground.
That's a good start as Desolation stops, He's gonna get rewarded. Some body shooting as well. I mean, you need something to take away from this game because it has been all Rain Above for the most part on the CT side, and that's Dave's gonna get a little look at Conti behind this box, but Dave is just a better shot in that situation. You cannot hide from this man. Now Rain Above, unit up 3, and Dave is just full ego swinging this. He is gonna fall because of 2 members of Storm Surge. So now this B site open, Cobalt and Louis in a totally different postal code, so we should be seeing Storm Surge get their first plant of their T side.
Well, I mean, listen, you're like hovering match point of the second map that you're about to win of this best of 3, so I think you're feeling quite good. If you're Dave, you can take little risks like that. It's not going to cost you the series, right? And it might even still win right here. Louis, the site is just down to Kanzi in a 1v1. Cobalt touching the tap. Throw play. And once again, it's Rain Above. Clean and clear.
Clean, clear, and under control. Rain Above, Rain Terror on Anubis, and dispatch Storm Surge in 2-0 fashion. My prediction coming true, but I have to say, I think there were moments for Storm Surge. Yes, it was a very Rain Above dominated game, but, there are flashes of the potential of the Storm Surge team. I just don't think they were able to consistently string that together in a, successful series of rounds, and Rain Above just leaning on that experience to take them through to the end. And they just, quite simple, they just looked like the better team through and through.
They were 2 things. One, maybe 3 things. One, Rain Above were very proactive.
Mm-hmm.
Two, they were very cohesive. They played super well together on both maps. The CTs knew their role, who was the anchor, who was the lurker. And on the T sides, they never split up into more than two groups. It was always two groups ready for trades, extremely cohesive. And three, they were very confident, right? They played together. They were methodical in their approach, whether it was CT or T. And then to top it all off, they had confidence. We saw near the end Dave just like, all right, this is done. I'm just gonna ego peak everything. Even in the last couple of rounds on Anubis, leading towards the end, they were walking top mid just for fun because they knew that the end was coming to a close. For Storm Surge, we saw glimmers of amazing work from them. Like we saw that they can rifle. We saw that they can op. We saw that they have the potential to have strong firepower. What I think was missing for me was just a little bit of cohesion and a little bit of teamwork. I wish I saw more focus around trades, around trading bodies, um, and using proactive plays to do that. And to like, I saw a couple of moments, and I was like, that's the Storm Surge that I want to see more of. There was one play last map where we had like Punisher playing Palace, and I think Cube playing a connector, and there was three walking up middle, and they were able to find like and really find good trades. I think Punisher was good for two, Cube was good for one, and it was like just after all the bodies fell, it was just Punisher left, and that's a good trade, right? So I was looking for more plays like that, and I think also just reading your opponent. Even that last half, I noticed that there was very little main control from the T's, or like from the CTs. If the T's kind of fished that out or gained that knowledge through kind of exploring Bode and exploring main, they would have found out that the CTs play passive on the A site. So let's get a plant. Let's pop into site. Let's pop a smoke into backside or to heaven, whatever, and let's get control. So I just wish I saw a little bit more of a proactive Storm Surge. I saw a little bit of it. I wish I saw more of a teamwork Storm Surge. I saw a little bit of it. But again, like you highlighted, this team is constantly working on their kinks. And I think it was still, despite a dominant performance from Rain Above, it was still a good showing. We saw glimmers of good. We just need to see more of it.
Yeah, I think that's the real story for it. And obviously we talked about this isn't a map that we saw a lot of play out of Storm Surge. I mean, that could be, I could be totally wrong about that because obviously when we stream we have a very small sample size, but once you really start to think about it and when you get into especially Rain Above CT side, they just were so composed and they had these plays just so airtight that it was just suffocating, right? Like we talked about it, how far up and how proactive is the word you used, near mid, near this B site, you don't give any lanes for the T's to really gain a lot of space because let's face it, it's a bit of a trek for the T's to get to this A site on this new Anubis, and B is a little shorter, but the way you can set that up by setting your players up near top mid, near this dark room on, the other side of B, you can just really snuff out any opportunities for the T's and force them to have to make a big play and fight for that space to move farther in. And I think for Storm Surge's CT side, I think they were getting into that a little bit. Like I think Kanzi especially was really good on playing that sort of lurker position and waiting for this rotation of the T's to come through and then give the intel over to the rest of his team. But just a messy T side on Anubis and just not enough to get over the hump. And unfortunately, that will make it a quick night for us as Storm Surge fall and Rain Above will be the kings of, well, I guess not Group G yet. There's still more to play, but they at least find their first win of Group G and Crossfire Season 4 Storm Surge. A little bit more work to do as we get into the rest of this season. But like we said, that will do it for us tonight here at True North Studio. Simo, I want to give you a huge thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come cast with me tonight and hang out with the rest of the prod crew. We really, really appreciate it. Hope you had fun. Again, you don't get to do CS as often, but I hope you had a good time at least.
That was good. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, hey, of course. Well, anytime you want to come back, please feel free. And We got some sponsors that always come back. It's Counterstrat and Third Sight. We want to give one more thank you to Third Sight, obviously, our Canadian spotlight. Counterstrat, our source of intel. They keep the lights on here at True North Studios, so we want to make sure we give them a shout out when we need to. And obviously, thank you to our prod staff as well. We got Hayden, Adrian, Wyatt, Carl, and Miguel, I think is the last one. I think I have everybody. I think Carl will calm in my ear. I did mention Adrian Varsiel, so thank you. I think I did get everybody. So all the prod staff has been named, and yes, that will be it for us. We will be back as soon as we can here at True North Studios. We hope it won't be too long of a break, but whenever that may be, we hope you can join us, and we'll see you next time. Have a great night. Oh, and make sure you follow our socials before we throw it to the break stinger. Follow the socials, and now we'll make sure we see you next time. Nas.
Talk about how everything changed, how the trees grew over the path we paved. Ooh, I'm tired now. Ooh, don't you know that? Don't you know that? So I don't want to freak you out, but I can see inside your room from the street. Get some blinds and call me back. Or just come outside because I'm here right now. Alright. Bye. Nightfall.